Praise be to God, children. Good morning. So, you all know that in the previous class we have seen part 1 of Latin Church of Kerala. There we have seen a lot of things, how the church established, what was the importance of Latin Catholic Church, how it emerged, why people started converting into Latin Catholicism. The main reason we have seen that they were all fed up with all the false doctrines and all these things, so they started converting. Then we saw that many missionaries who followed the Latin Catholic system came to India, and since they worked in their way, many Catholic community emerged in Kerala. Then we have also seen about the work of St. Francis Xavier, who even after going from India, he took an eye. He always kept an eye on the development of Latin Catholic Church in Kerala. So all these were the things that you saw in your 7th chapter, the part 1 of Latin Church of Kerala. Now we are moving on to our 8th chapter, the second part of Latin Church of Kerala. You all remember about the Kun and Cross Oath that we have studied in your 6th chapter, right? And we have seen how the Kerala Church divided following the Kun and Cross Oath. Now here we are talking about the same Kun and Cross Oath. Following the Kun and Cross Oath, some of the St. Thomas Christians who broke away gave shape to a new church under the leadership of the Archdeacon. So they created a new church. They formed a new church under the leadership of an Archdeacon. So who is an Archdeacon? An Archdeacon is a priest who, in the absence of a pope, administers all the spiritual matters. And majority of them continued to accept the leadership of the Pope. They were obeying the rules of the Pope. They were not schisms. They obeyed the rule of Pope, but they refused to accept the Jesuits. That is what led to a Kun and Cross Oath, right? In this circumstance, Pope Alexander VII sent Carmelite missionaries to Kerala, who had some contact with Christians in Kerala earlier. We have seen about the Carmelite missionaries coming to Kerala earlier centuries. So, the Pope Alexander VII again sent the Carmelite missionaries because they were familiar with the people of Kerala. Thus, missionaries Father Joseph Sebastiani in 1655 and Father Hyacinthe of St. Vincent in 1658 arrived in Kerala. So these two were the fathers who arrived in Kerala on behalf of the Carmelite missionaries. The missionaries first tried for a reconciliation between the Archdeacon and Bishop of Kodungallur. So since there was a division between the Bishop of Kodungallur, we were following the concept of the Archdeacon, right? So first they tried to solve the problems. A good majority of Christians joined in hands with the Carmelite missionaries. The Pope, who was happy about the performance of the Carmelite missionaries, viceroyed in Malabar in December 3rd, 1659 and appointed Father Joseph Sebastiani as the first vicar apostolate. So the Pope was really happy about the work of the Carmelite missionaries. So in December 3rd, 1659, a new vicerate was formed and appointed Father Joseph Sebastiani as the first vicar apostolate. Now we saw about the arrival of the Carmelite missionaries. Now let's see about the arrival of the Dutch, how they helped us to form a Latin Catholic community in Kerala. In 1663, January, the Dutch wrested Kochi from Portuguese. Following the Portuguese missionary, Father Sebastiani was forced to leave Kochi. So this is what happened. Because when the Dutch came to Kochi, they forced the Father Sebastiani, who established all the Carmelite vicarate, to move or to leave Kochi. Father Sebastian returned to Rome after appointing Parambil Chandi Katanar, a native of Kerala, as the vicar apostolic. Since Father Sebastiani couldn't stand here. He went back to Rome but appointed a native of Kerala. Since he was from Rome, he did not have any voice here when the Dutch came. So he appointed Parambil Chandi Katanar, who was a native of Kerala, as the Vicar Apostolic. And Parambil Chandi was acceptable to the Dutch because they were okay, because he is a native of Kerala, not a person from outside, not a person who is following any other culture. So the Dutch was okay. The Dutch insisted all Catholic missionaries of Europe to leave Kochi. So, Father Sebastian returned to Rome. Some of the others who were with him, that is, Father Matthews and a few others, remained in Kerala. The Dutch wanted all the Catholic missionaries of Europe to leave Kochi. They didn't want any outsiders here, even though they were doing a very good thing. They were developing the church. The Dutch didn't want any of these Catholic missionaries of Europe to stay in Kochi anymore. Even though Father Sebastiani returned to Rome, there were some others who were with him, that is Father Matthews, and others remained in Kerala. They continued to live in remote villages where Dutch had no influence and continued their missionary work. So when they were living in a city or a town, the Dutch had an easy accessibility. So they were insisted to move from Kochi. But these fathers or priests, they lived in remote villages. So Dutch didn't have much control over the remote villages. So they stayed there and they continued their missionary work. While residing in the interior villages, Father Matthews compiled a book on medicinal plants and their properties of flora, called Hortus Malabaricus, meaning the Garden of Malabar. So what was the name of the book compiled by Father Matthews, who stayed in a remote village? That is Hortus Malabaricus. But there is a difference. We have seen about a lot of books written by the fathers in this book itself, right? In this year itself, you have seen about the books written by St. Francis Xavier, the books written by St. Augustine, a lot of books. But here there is a difference. All the others were, some or the other were related to Christianity. That is, sometimes it was about the growth or development of church in Kerala, or about India, or at least it will be about the false doctrines or anything. But here there is a difference. Father Matthews compiled a book on medical plants and their properties of flora. And the name was Hortus Malabaricus, meaning the Garden of Malabar. And after writing this book, Hortus Malabaricus, he presented it to Dutch governor Hendrik van Reed, and they became friends. So who was the Dutch governor there? Hendrik van Reed. And by presenting the book to him, he was so impressed because there were a lot of medical plants that were really unidentified, and he had identified it and also said their medicinal properties. And as a result, they became friends. As a result of relationship, Father Matthews gained permission from the governor to construct a church. The land to construct the church was given freely to him by the governor. See, so that was the importance of that book. Even though that book did not represent anything about Christianity, but it gained us a church. It gained us the permission. The church was completed in 1673. And it was named as Mount Carmel Church, Chatiath. So what was the name of the church? It was the Mount Carmel Church, Chatiath. With the help of Bishop Parambil Chandi, the missionaries succeeded in bringing back the St. Thomas Christians under papacy in Rome. We have seen that the St. Thomas Christians were ready to obey the rules and regulations of the Pope, that is papacy, but they did not want to follow Jesuits. By the strong work of these missionaries, they were able to bring back the St. Thomas Christians under the papacy in Rome. From 1700 onwards, the Malabar Vicariate was controlled by Carmelite missionaries. Again, see, at first it was their land, it was their a kingdom. Then it was the Dutch who came and invaded. Now again it came to the hands of the Carmelite missionaries. In 1701, Father Angelo Francis was appointed as the Vicar Apostolate. Meanwhile, there arose a dispute on authority between Padrado and Propaganda. According to Padrado authority, Portugal had the power to establish dioceses and appoint bishop. But the Propaganda authority in Rome did not allow Portugal to do so in places where Portuguese lost due to the invasion of the Dutch. So these are the two concepts, or these are the two opinions. First one is the Padrado, second one is the Propaganda. The Padrado authority said that the Portugal, that is the Portuguese people, that is the Carmelite missionaries, have the authority to establish dioceses and appoint bishop. But what the Propaganda authority stated is that these Portuguese missionaries had access to all the places in Kerala, but once they lost, right, from in Kochi they lost, the Dutch came, the Dutch invaded, and finally the Portuguese didn't have any power there. So the Propaganda authority said that the places where the Portugal lost their authority did not have any authority to appoint apostles. It was the duty of the Dutch. Okay, these were the two opinions. Now, let's see what the Rome agreed. Rome agreed to Padrado authority if Portugal regained those lost places from the Dutch. Yes, so the both had a same viewpoint actually, and according to Rome, what the Pope had said is that Padrado authority is right. The Portugal can establish and appoint bishop only when they have regained those places. But we have seen that they regained all those places from Dutch, right? So the authority lies in the hands of the Carmelite missionaries and the Portuguese missionaries. When Kodingalur Archbishop Francis Garcia expired, the Dutch did not allow Portugal to appoint another bishop. But again, the Padrado was accepted by the people of Rome, by the bishop, but still, after the death of Archbishop Francis Garcia, the Dutch did not allow Portugal to appoint another bishop. Now, let's see about the end of Padrado and what is a Govan schism. When the problem of authority between Padrado and Propaganda became very serious, Rome decided to intervene. At first, there were a difference in opinion and Rome had stood with the Padrado authority. But again, we saw that after the death of the Archbishop, again they opposed. So now it has become a serious issue and Rome decided to intervene in that. On April 24, 1838, through the promulgation of Holy Letter, that is the declaration of the Holy Letter, Multa Prediclare, Pope Gregory XVI temporarily suspended Padrado authority. Since the Dutch were much stronger and they were opposing it, through the declaration of the Holy Letter, Multa Prediclare, Pope Gregory XVI temporarily suspended the Padrado authority, and Pope established Propaganda Apostolic Vicariate in several places. Also, Padrado authority in Kochi and Kodingalur diocese were cancelled and the administration was handed over to Varapura Vicariate. Thus, Varapura came to be known as the Mother of Diocese. Why? Because it is from where the two dioceses arise. The territory of Varapura Vicariate was from Kanyakumari in south to South Canara, that is the district in Karnataka in north, two problems took shape in these processes. So there were two problems. The first one was this process made the sympathizers of Padrado angry. So even though many people were supporting the propaganda authority, but those who followed the Padrado authority became angry because they did not have any authority. The Portugal did not have any authority. Even though they worked for the upliftment, they did not have any authority. They viewed propaganda missionaries as enemies. Those under Govan Padrado started acting against propaganda. This caused division. This is known as Govan schism or Indo-Lusitanism schism. So, the Carmelite missionaries was appointed in Kochi for the reconciliation or to end the division between the Christians. But finally what happened? Again there came two opinions and again there became a divisions and enmity because of the Padrado and propaganda. Obviously, when only one opinion is being accepted, there will be enmity in the other. That same thing happened. So that is known as the Goan schism. That those are people who had sympathy with the Padrado authority. Also, they started considering them as enemies. Now, what was the second problem? When the vicerate became larger, the administration became more difficult. Effective mission work was impossible. Following this, Varapura Vicerate was divided into three: Kollam in south, Varapura in center, and Mangalore in north. Henceforth, Malabar Vicerate came to be known as the Varapura Vicerate. See, you can imagine, we saw that it is known as the mother of diocese, and also it extended from Kanyakumari in south to South Canara, that is a district in Karnataka. So you can imagine the distance. So there will be a lot of Christians in between that. How can they manage it under a single umbrella? It became really difficult. So they divided the vicerate. But it was actually good. So that the people there got much more freedom. The first one in south, it was Kollam, Varapura in the center, and Mangalore in north. Henceforth, the Malabar Vicerate came to be known as the Varapura Vicerate because it was in the center. So, children, this is about the end of Padrado and Goan schism. So, in this chapter, what we learned is about the coming of the Dutch, coming of the Portugal people, then about the Padrado and propaganda authority, how it caused a division and how it ended up with the Goan schism. So hope it's clear for you. It is much more interesting than the other chapters. So just read the content. That is the reason why I am showing you as a slide, so that you will be more familiar with the names and words. Okay. So this is Christmas season. Enjoy yourself. Pray for the others who are in need. And also do good things. This is a month where you can express all your kindness, all your empathy, sympathies, everything, and also to show your love, because it is in love Jesus is born. So wish you a very good week ahead. Thank you.